Good morning. I'm gonna do like two feeds. I'm gonna do this feed and then I have a feed to do for my healing page. So I'm gonna be covering session 21 on this feed. Give me a second to share it. And I'll probably have some ranting to do on my next feed because I haven't been live for a while. My phone's being really slow this week with what's going on astrologically. Give me a second. It's snowing here today. I'm about to take the dog out after I do my feed and I'm really excited. It's actually snowing here. Give me one sec. Because I'm feeling extra great today. So I have a lot of really good energy. I want to get a really good audience on here. Give me one second. This session should be a little bit better than the last one. Sometimes this stuff can be like reading French. I once heard someone describe the Law 1 as coming from a robot, like artificial intelligence. And the way it's broken down, hey, it's a possibility. I'm not going to deny it. But it's written kind of like backwards. But as someone who channels a lot of different types of energy, that's really common. Like that happens to me when I'm doing my feeds where I can't find the right words for stuff, or like thoughts will come out backwards and things like that. So we're discussing in the second 25,000 year major cycle, there was no great civilizations that developed, but there were many technological advancements, among those of Deneb. And I can't even say it right, D-E-N-E-B. Deneb who are the people who incarnated into China. And Deneb is actually a star system. People were making positive progress towards activating their heart chakras all over the planet in the Americas, Africa, Australia, and India. None of these civilizations were as great as Lemuria or Atlantis, though. Atlantis had great technological understandings. In the South American region of our planet, people grew towards the vibration of love. These people were harvestable at the end of the second major cycle without having developed technology or social structures. So the ones that were harvested are those that are opening their heart chakras. Basically, out of this material, the best thing that I got out of this session, because I have to kind of go through it and rewrite it for you guys, the best thing I got out of it is if you want to liberate yourself, all you have to do is open your heart chakra, and that will basically stop this kind of incarnation loop we're kind of going in on. And that's what's being drilled out of people, compassion and empathy. It's really drilled out of kids at an early age now. We're learning separation. We're really like learning these narcissistic traits and how to embody them. And it's being drilled out of people. Compassion is being drilled out of people. And this is exactly why. And it doesn't surprise me that we have a bunch of sociopaths running around in high positions, because all that someone that narcissistic is someone with a closed heart chakra. So we're seeing a lot of that nowadays, maybe narcissistic people. Channeling is a popular topic in the spiritual communities. Carla didn't read the book or see any of the content till after they finished the project with this. The future content would not have affected her, though, if she had. She didn't affect the future of the group. We all know the questioner, however, did with his suicide. Ross says they offer their future to the group. That was one of the biggest things I pulled out of this session, aside from opening your heart chakra, that Ross said that they are offering their version of our future. And in my own personal life, I'm going to reject all offers for like these matrix structures and, you know, following other people's paradigms. I'm really in my own life trying to learn how to unplug and unplug and create my own kind of life and my own kind of universe right here. And we can all kind of do that. So I think it's really important that they're offering their version of the future and what could happen. There's been many prophecies and many kind of great texts like this, but I think it's important that while we're studying this and we're retaining knowledge from it, that we understand that we have complete choice over our future and what we decide to manifest. I think it's important that we decide what we're creating. Carla was really service to others. Her service was to the one creator. These channelings were done in a trance. Ra was able to communicate in a way without affecting her polarity. We discussed how there's a lot of channeling going on in the spiritual communities, I'm sure. I kind of stick to my own mission, so I'm not really sure, but I'm sure there is. And the problem with that is if you're not really careful with channeling, if you're not doing it in a completely service to others kind of way, with the questions people are asking, you can be polarized really fast. And any kind of channeling you are doing would be replaced by a negative entity. A lot of people wonder if channeling, if in channeling they're using the instrument's vocabulary or the entity's vocabulary is being used. That was something I was wondering too, because I almost am channeling, but I'm just tuning in to my higher self. So if I am channeling, it's myself, and I go within. I don't go outside of myself for information like a lot of people would channel. Maybe they say angels. I'm trying to think what's popular, whatever, extraterrestrials, things like that. I go within for any type of knowledge or information personally. But I was wondering that too, if they would be using the person's vocabulary or the instruments. But they say it's our own vocabulary. It's not our own vocabulary though, but we retain the vocabulary from them speaking through us. At the start of the 75,000 year cycle, we know that the quarantine was fully set up. We know there is a quarantine on this planet, but before I even get into this, I always tell people that we are basically moving through space to uncharted territories, I believe. And as we're moving, the quarantine would move too and make it ineffective. Like we went by the Orion solar system, I'm not sure, at least 6 months ago, but it would have made it ineffective. So we had to understand that as we're moving too, that affects things. All right. So at the end of the 75,000 year cycle, they set up the quarantine. The Guardians were aware of the infringements of free will that were occurring here. The entities of Mars had their third density experience end, and suddenly they were about to destroy their planet. They were ultimately aided and transferred to this planet so they could finish their cycle. Even though this was done out of aid, it was seen as an infringement of free will. The light quarantine and its effects were then intensified by the Guardians. Some refer to the Guardians as gardeners because they seeded this planet. And I like to think of myself as a guardian and all of you guys as guardians as well. And that's why we came here or volunteered to come help here. When the 75,000 year cycle started, the lifespan was an average of 900 years old. Humanity's not doing great. I don't want to get into this till to my next feed, but go check out our new group, Detox in the Matrix, and go test your water and see what's in your water, because we're all showering in it. You guys can act like you don't care because you're not drinking it, and we're drinking bottled water. Who cares? I'm drinking distilled water, but you guys are showering in that, and everyone's wondering why everyone's sick. And I'm just going to say it, they have all these diseases packaged up with these cute little names, and it's all the same thing, heavy metal poisoning on a global scale, and it's horrendous. It's all the same problem. They have it labeled with these fancy diseases and different pills for each one, and it's a total Ponzi scheme. Like, I hate to be the one to tell you guys, but we are the Guardians that came here. And a long time ago, people used to live to be like 900 years old. I joke around and say I want to be 5,000 years old this life, but I'm kind of serious. Like, I feel that programmed in me that people used to be able to live a really long time like that. So we're not doing so great. Our planet has reached toxic levels at this point. I'm kind of concerned about the toxicity living here. Ra goes over the incarnation pattern of the third density. We begin in darkness. It's a process of falling asleep and forgetting. This is the only plane where we must forget. This is necessary so one can use their free will to make choices based on an individualized consciousness. So everyone starts out in innocence, but everyone will experience animalistic behaviors as they attempt to use or manipulate their other selves. The person slowly becomes more and more aware that it's not animalistic. Somewhere along this process, these needs will shift from basic survival needs to the needs for love and beauty. Eventually, the person becomes ready to learn more about the universe. As the incarnations begin to accumulate and other needs are discovered, such as the need to trade, to love, to be loved, and the need to elevate any animalistic behaviors, embodying a more universal perspective. During the first portion of any third density cycle, incarnations are automatic and occur right after death. There is little need to review or heal any experience of the incarnation. I'm going to stop there really quick and talk about that, because we all know about Akash records. I say Akash, some people say Akashic, but that's how I'm familiar with them. We don't always review them. If we were just going from a third density life to another third density life, we wouldn't see our life review. Maybe for a few lives, maybe you'll see a few all at once. So a lot of people think we see it every life. Sometimes you'll just keep on coming back here on an incarnation loop. And the goal is to liberate your soul and to break free of any karma or anything holding you here or tying you here. The chakras begin to be activated in a higher extent in later incarnations. I think that's what we're all dealing with. I've been told it's my last life and that I'm ascending or making a spiritual ascension. But I've also been told that we're making a planetary ascension and that everyone else is going through the same thing I'm going through. So I think it's really amazing. I think our bodies are all changing from the energy. I think that maybe some people, their bodies aren't doing very good with the energy, and that maybe the same energy that I love and is amazing and I'm working with to heal people might actually be harming people or maybe killing people, so that they can go into where they have planned to go to next, which would be another third density planet. So we're seeing people kind of get sorted right now. And what this all comes down to, and the law of oneness is why I love it, it's all about service to self and service to others. And that's what this all comes down to. It's really simple. And the thing is I'm willing to, and I have, set aside what I wanted in my life for the good of everyone else. I've been willing to set aside and sacrifice anything that I probably wanted to do with my life so I can do what's best for everyone involved. And if everyone would do that, this place would be amazing. I think a lot of people think that like politics are going to be solved. And do you think that your world leaders are willing to do that? If they were willing to set aside what they wanted for the good of everyone else and realize that humanity is really at a point where we couldn't go on like this and something has to be done. So people are getting sorted according to their motives. Our chakras are really important in our incarnations, dealing with the lessons of love. I knew since I was 15 years old and dying of cancer that the meaning of life was love. Like from a really young age, I knew that already. If you want the meaning of life, if you want to know what God is, it's love. The time spent in between incarnations is longer in between reviews. And when we have these life reviews, we view the process of incarnations with them. At some point in our third density experience, the heart chakra becomes activated, and at that point, incarnation ceases to be automatic. That's my goal. I don't want to come back here ever. No offense, but I think if you go to that other third density planet, that the cycle is maybe 75,000 years long. It's really long at any rate, and I'm not going to do another cycle. I just don't have it in me. So I'm working on purifying my energy, activating keeping all of my chakras good and activated, and just purifying my energy, I guess. When incarnation ceases to be automatic, the entity can decide when they need to incarnate for the benefit of their learning. One also selects their parents. All of us selected our parents this life because we volunteered to come here. We didn't actually have to come here. We're not like most of the people here who are kind of stuck here in a loop. We're just from a higher level of consciousness, and we volunteered. It was kind of our mission to come help. So we all selected our parents, but when you get to a certain point in your evolution and you do activate your chakras and your heart chakra, you can actually decide where you want to go to learn next. At this time in our cycle, we're near the end of it. The percentage of the entities incarnate who are going to make their own choices are about 54%. During this first 25,000 year cycle, there is no industrial development at all. There's no machinery available to the people at all. And we wonder why we're not allowed to have technology. Like World War II, the reason why there were so many UFOs flying everywhere because of the nuclear weapons being used. Those weren't even supposed to be discovered yet. They were supposed to be used for free energy later on, and anything that comes out good is used for bad purposes or suppressed. So you wonder why humanity really doesn't have that much technology. We think we do because I'm broadcasting from my iPad and I'm on my iPhone. We think we have so much technology, but we're pretty much in the dark ages, and we haven't really stepped forward or evolved, or we would be using free energy. We wouldn't be killing people over oil we didn't need. There were various implements of rock and wood that were used to obtain food. The reasons why there were no machines was because people were aggressive. So we're not allowed to have anything. There's actual like replicators where we don't need money. We could just replicate anything that we need. We could be manifesting instantly anything that we need. But people basically are not benevolent. It's not the extraterrestrials that are not nice or scary. It's people. People are not very nice and can be malevolent. At the end of the first 25,000 year cycle, there was some physical changes that occurred rapidly, like the ones that occurred at the end of every 75,000 year cycle. People's skin color began to change. People began to evolve from having better food. Now we're de-evolving from having worse food. Now we're probably de-evolving, but they evolved and it helps them. Now we're de-evolving. At the end of the first 25,000 year period, the Guardians discovered that there was no harvest of either positive or negatively oriented entities. We've been over this like for the past 3 sessions, so I'll be really glad to post the next session today and move along. We keep going over this. They didn't have a harvest because anyone that was harvestable wanted to stay with their soul group and they wanted to help them finish. Alright, so many are calling on the Confederation for assistance and many have been in the past. The Confederation's main concern is preserving the conditions needed to learn in. Everything revolves around free will here. I do like energy healing and that revolves around free will. Everything is centered around free will here. It is the worst thing you can do to impede on one's free will. We really are co-creators and we're in control of what we're creating, but it's just the worst thing that could happen. And that's what's happening with the planet though, that these chemtrails are impending on Gaia's free will. And it's like the worst thing that they're basically doing here. So then the Confederation, they call themselves gardeners. And they basically say that we're plants in the garden and they're waiting for spring to harvest us. And they know when the harvest is coming, but we don't. And so they basically call us plants in their garden and they say that we call on them for help. A lot of people probably don't know who they're praying to anyway. I always assume that. The first call occurred 46,000 years ago. The first ones to call were from Meldeck. They were confused about their incarnation. The unconscious were aware, and the conscious were actually confused. This created the calling, and the Confederation sent love and light to them. The Confederation sent this love and light from the inner planes of the earth. And we talk about this all the time. I'm always talking about hollow earth, inner earth. There are members of the Confederation that reside in the inner earth. And all they do is send love and light to those that call and healing energy. And this is basically the purest form of love and light. And we don't realize how helped we are and how all we have to do is call. And we have so many to assist and to help us and to heal us. I'm going to let you guys go like on that note because I'm doing another live feed immediately. Like I'm going to take like a 5-minute break and I have some really awesome news. So love and light.